This meeting is being recorded.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Tata Communications Annual Investor Day. Last year was unprecedented due to the global pandemic. At the start of the financial year, we unveiled our new strategy, and despite the challenges and headwinds, we have made good progress. We will start today's session with a strategic overview by Lakshmi, followed by Kabir, who will talk about our financial fitness journey and how it will play a pivotal role in our future growth. Post Kabir, we will have an overview from our three business unit heads. Genius will be presenting global network services. Madhu will be talking about collaboration, CPaaS, and connected services, followed by Srini, who will be talking about cloud hosting, security, and Sd-Wan. Lastly, Sumit will present his views on our sales and marketing initiatives. Before we get started, I would like to remind everyone that some of the statements made or discussed on the call today may be forward-looking in nature and must be viewed in conjunction with the risks and uncertainties we face. A detailed statement and explanation of these risks are included in our annual filing, which you can locate on our website www.tatacommunications.com. The company does not undertake to update these forward-looking statements publicly. With that, I would like to invite Lakshmi to share his views. Over to you, Lakshmi. Lakshmi, you're on mute.
Thanks, Vipul. Hello, everyone. Good to be with all of you. I would be providing a short update on the strategy that we rolled out last year and incremental updates to what we are doing and the progress that we have made. Just to recap, I think one of the first and foremost thing we as a company aim to do is to stay relevant to our customers' digital journey. And I have presented this slide earlier before in terms of our enterprise customers. They see there are 5 key themes that are important to our customers. And we will be aiming to stay relevant across these 5 themes. And some of the product and portfolios that we describe and the case studies we'll describe will show you how we are relevant to these 5 themes. A very quick recap of these 5 themes are borderless growth, as companies expand their footprint across regions, open new branches, open new factories, or they do grow by M&A. They are looking for a partner who will enable them this borderless growth. The second is to do more of contactless, frictionless collaboration, not within the company, but across their full ecosystem of customers and suppliers. So that is how we look at that theme and how we stay relevant. The second aspect is about the product innovation and delivering the customer experience. So all of our connected solutions fit into the space as customers look to embed more intelligence into devices and move to more connected solutions across various industry domains. The third is enhancing productivity and efficiency. That is simplifying the footprint across voice, video, data networks. How can they simplify? And the second lever they look for is simplifying the vendor landscape. The fourth key theme is about building agility, getting visibility to their own landscape, more of on-demand solutions, more of self-serve is what they expect. And the last one being managing risk. As people move towards more cloud and an accelerated move towards internet, how can they ensure that they can avoid security issues and strengthen their security posture, and how we can be relevant into that theme. So those are the 5 key digital themes, and later on when my colleagues talk about some of the portfolio and what we do, the 5 themes will further get amplified in terms of our relevance. Lastly, we had made a commitment around sustainability, innovation, artificial intelligence. We are making good progress on sustainability. Similarly, on innovation and AI, we have a very clear framework within the company as to how we will drive incremental innovation as well as support major innovation initiatives within the company. And that framework is getting played out within the company. The other ones important to our strategy and staying relevant to the customer are the service wrap conversation and our shifts. And I will briefly talk about those in my subsequent slides. Next slide, please. So our strategy, the first part is the financial fitness. It is more, it is a goal as well as a strategy. It's a goal because we wanted to improve our the health of the balance sheet and so on. But it's also a strategy because that feeds into the how we wish to grow. In the growth plan, the who, what, and the how, I'll briefly talk about in subsequent slides. In culture, drive is our signature behavior, and we are launching the Drive 2.0, where I had originally called out some 6 key behaviors that we are driving within the company for transforming ourselves to make sure that we can transform ourselves while we help to transform our customers. Next. So in the who part, we had called out in our strategy of deeper with fewer, focus on top 1,000 customers. And there are focused programs that Sumit will talk about. Additionally, we have overall more than 5,000 customers, and the customers that beyond that 1,000 was not called out last year as part of our strategy. It was business as usual. And now this year we're calling out a special focus on that next segment of customers. We've created a new unit to target these customers with a specific, clear focus and strategy, which again Sumit will address. The other part of the who was to bring a lot more of customer solution mindset when we are solving problems for customers. And therefore, it became important for us to stitch together a lot of our products to deliver that as a solution. And towards that, in terms of the success markers, as I said, Sumit will update on the programs. And similarly, on the NPS, we have made excellent progress. And Sumit has a slide to describe the exact metrics as to how we have progressed in that area. And we are, all the marketing initiatives last year has been on digital, but we are strengthening how we are articulating, who we are to our customers, and similarly working with our go-to-market partners, particularly the SI partners, to have a better reach into our target customer base. In terms of the what aspect of the strategy, we besides our current set of product that we have, we said that we want to make a shift towards platform, and towards that, there are a number of major product releases or even new products that we are launching. And the approach that we have taken to that is what we internally call as a 1-3-30 approach, which is a measured step of an agile product innovation. How do you develop these products? How do you take it to the first set of customers? Because selling it to the first set of customers requires a different motion. And then when we take it to the stage 3, which is next level beyond the stage 1, to an increased set of customers, we will be more strengthening the products, looking at the pricing strategies, looking at the marketing strategies and everything. And the stage 30 is really the scale stage when we expect to see the returns on the new products that we are introducing. There are a number of products that are in the stages 1 and 3, and when my colleagues talk to you about their own portfolios, they will mention some of these new features or new products that are in the anvil that we're already in the market with a few selected customers. We also revamped our operating structures, which we announced, to 3 business units, and you will meet them for network, collaboration, connected solutions, cloud, Sd-Wan, and security. And in terms of the entire business model, look to see how do we deliver value to our customers as we shift towards the platform, as we shift some of the products more towards of a fully managed services. And I have mentioned some of it in my earlier call, for example, in UCAS, how we are trying to shift from all usage-based to a managed service base where at least 40-50% of the revenue can be on a fixed basis and the remaining will be on a usage basis. But that is just a philosophy, and we are applying that to all of the new products and platforms that we will be launching.
Lakshmi, before you move ahead, your voice is a little feeble, so if you can speak a little loudly.
Sure, thank you. On the how part of it, it's essentially about the right operating model with automation and agility. The operating model is essentially, with a global footprint. Where are people? Where should they be? How should we serve our customers? What should be our cost structures? All of that is one part of the operating model, which we had executed on last year, and a large part of our results reflect that. The other important aspect is also driving automation and backing the benefits of the automation. Focusing a lot more on analytics and AI is something that is still work in progress, and we are making some very good progress there. The second aspect of it is service wrap, whose role is essentially to stitch together products to solve customer problems. And when there are gaps in the portfolio, the service wrap will plug those gaps and for serving the customers, and thereafter it will be regularized and made into a product or a portfolio by itself. So that's the role of the service wrap, and we are making good progress with that as well. And the aspect of delivering customer experience, TCX stands for Tata Communications Experience Portal. It's a single portal to deliver the experience to the customer, as well as to push more towards self-service, as well as the structural change that we did within the sales to have customer success teams to ensure that we can deliver the right experience, and we understand that context better. That change was done again last year. Next slide, please. Now, in terms of the results of the financial fitness on the ROCE, we have delivered well ahead of the target of our midterm targets. In the revised targets, we are calling out a target of 25 to 30%. Net debt, we have done well, and we would like to maintain an optimal level of the debt. In terms of growth, we called out an ambition for a double-digit data growth in the medium term. But last year, for largely due to COVID reasons and partially due to some shifts that happened, the revenues were not as expected, and you see that in amber. And we had already called out the COVID related. We had some headwinds in the early part of the Q1 and Q2. In the tailwinds in the Q1 and Q2, where we sold a lot more of high capacity bandwidth for largely OTT and large enterprises. We also had tailwind by way of increased usage revenues from GSIP, and thereafter in Q3 and Q4, it sort of tailed off, and we had headwinds of media event, sporting event cancellations, as well as the usage, as well as some of the sectors like airlines and others, being impacted and continue to be impacted. So a lot of usage-based revenues, tailed off after the initial Q1 and Q2 part. So that is one set of things that happened. Structurally, in my view, nothing has changed compared to the 5 digital themes that we called out is important for our customers. Many of it is only accelerating. The collaboration is increasing, but today with people working from home, it is still people are using IP to connect and participate in this collaboration calls. When people shift to more hybrid working, we anticipated some of the SIP trunk revenues will come back. And also an increased usage of application, e-commerce, A2P messaging, and all of that is happening and will continue to grow. And that is where you will hear about some of the things that we are preparing ourselves to launch in terms of capitalizing in that area. So in the medium to long run, some of the digital themes that we talked about continuing to be relevant, some of the products that we are introducing, as well as how we have organized ourselves into the 3 business units, our focus in sales with a top 1,000 customers and the next prime. All of that is positioning us well, and we have the confidence to say that the double-digit data growth is something that we can confidently aim for. In terms of the Ebitda margins, it was 22 to 25%. We are at the top end. In the medium term, we believe that 23 to 25% margin range is a good margin to target, despite us having to invest in many of the shifts that we are talking about to uplift our solutioning capabilities or uplift some of the product and other capabilities. That's the range that we would want to operate, and that is a range that we can operate. So I think those are the overall a quick summary of the strategy and the progress that we have made. And in the financial fitness that we have been working on in the last year, there is a refinement to that. Next slide, please, where how we are sort of refining and redefining into the road ahead is something that Kabir will elaborate on. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakshmi. In fact, Lakshmi mentioned in the very beginning that this is both a goal and a strategy. The way in which we've refined our financial fitness is in two parts. One is the fit to compete, and another one is the fit to grow. Crudely put, fit to compete is something about here and now, staying fit, staying healthy, having a good P&L and balance sheet in order for us to deliver to our short-term, ambitions and targets. Fit to grow is about preparing ourselves for the future and to consistently and sustainably keep delivering the long-term growth ambitions that we have for the business. So on fit to compete, we've already talked about, but let me also just have you glance over the slide. In terms of our margin progression, historically how we have done, we've kind of reached a good level. We are operating at the upper end of the margin target range that we had given. I had already mentioned in the previous quarterly results that this number has positively been impacted by one-off savings from COVID, which I don't know when we will get back to whatever the new normal we will get back to. Some costs will definitely seep in. So that's the reason why we have continued to maintain the upper end of the range at 25, while narrowing the range from 23 to 25 as our medium-term targets. We've done quite well in terms of ROCE. Our ambition is definitely to try and increase our capital spend without compromising the hygiene and discipline on ROI and returns that we have on the investments, and I'll talk about it a bit soon. And our leverage levels have now come down to respectable levels. We don't intend to kind of pay down debt any significantly different, but it will kind of operate in a range. The current level is optimal for the balance sheet that we have, and we intend to maintain at that particular range. And with a result of all of those things, we now have a good cash flow generating engine. So I do believe that on a fit to compete level, there are two elements. One is on profitability, and then we will deep dive into the next slide on data, because that is definitely a strategic ambition for us. We are, I would say, doing well sans the growth element that Lakshmi again touched upon, which is impacted both by certain internal and external challenges. Although our 5-year CAGR has been close to 8%, our near-term growth has been less than expectations, and this is impacted by various reasons that we've spoken about in the past, and our ambition does remain of a double-digit data growth that we will have, but we have I would say healthy margins and a healthy growth in margins that we've had in the past. So let me now shift the focus to fit to growth. And I want to introduce a strategy, a philosophy that the Tatacom management, is driving in order to rev up the growth engine. Clearly, we want to drive profitable, double-digit data growth that you've already heard us say so many times, and that will essentially probably will give us the scale benefits. It will give us the positive mix, benefits and the margin expansion that we want, which gives us, of course, sustained profits and cash flow. We intend to reinvest this large portion of this gain back into the business to drive growth. Whether it will be in terms of R&D, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of any other aspects that will drive growth. And here we are looking at levers of organic and inorganic growth as well, and definitely looking to have element of tactical bolt-on acquisitions that either addresses portfolio gaps or go-to-market gaps that we may have in order to strengthen our offering to our customers. So that will become an inherent part of our strategy. And as we reinvest, and then we create the capacity for us to grow further, which then gives us profitable growth again. And we then get into this virtuous circle where we would like to have the financial strategy being at the very core of what we want to do in Tatacom, driving up the growth. It's not in isolation that we would like to look at these elements. And I'm quite happy that we today have a good balance sheet, and that good balance sheet will help us realize our growth ambition. With that said, before I actually move to the next section, where we are, we've actually looked at how, we've heard many feedback from all of you as to how complex our business is and how we would like ideally to simplify this business. Over the last 18 months, when Lakshmi has arrived, and he's spoken to many customers as well, and we've understood what their growth drivers are, what their buying behavior is, and what their decision making metrics are. We said that it's time for us to simplify our own reporting structure. So today we have a reporting structure of data and voice, and within data we call traditional services, which is basically our our network services, and then we had growth services, and then innovation and subsidiaries, and and the rental income that we get from our properties. We intend to change this with a clear aim to satisfy three things. First and foremost, it's outside in. How the customers view our business, how they make their buying decisions, is something that we would like to align to. Second, we would like to simplify so that it is easy for you, to be able to understand our performance. And we do recognize that we don't have one particular, sector or competitive set that you can compare us against, because we operate, in multiple places, and therefore simplifying that, helps. And finally, we've also organized ourselves, in that way, in order to satisfy the demands and needs of our customers. So the new reporting structure that we will actually move to will again have the top ones at data and voice. We will pull out subsidiaries and others out of data, and we will report that separately. Within data, we intend to have them into three large buckets. It will be core connectivity, which is our network business, and we will provide you the visibility by two customer segments, service provider and enterprise. And this is definitely the management focus as to how we drive growth, and the conversations that happen internally. We actually are mirroring the same thing and want to report our performance so that you can view it from that lens. Then we've called a new group called digital platform and services, which is what the customer need we try and satisfy in this space. So it will have collaboration and CPaaS and connected solutions as the first element. It have cloud and security, and the entire next generation connectivity of ISO and SD-WAN will be part of that. Media services is both a horizontal and vertical for us, and in this particular case, it's a very, very important segment for us that we actually drive to the benefit of our customers and innovate in that space as well. So that's something we will call out separately and put that in. Then we have the I would say new age businesses, those businesses that need the right care and attention until they are ready to fly and be on their own. And these are the incubation businesses that we have. We have the Move and the IoT business, and we also have NetFoundry that you're actually familiar with. So we will carve them out as incubation over a period of time. Once in a few years time they get the scale and they get the wherewithal to be able to deliver on their own, they will be probably either deserve heading of their own or come into digital platform and services, or or wherever they truly belong. Voice remains unchanged, and I talked about the subsidiaries and other businesses that we will pull out separately and then show it to you. How does this look in terms of transition? I don't intend to spend too much time on this slide. in the interest of time, you will in our Q1 results get a restatement and a comparator so that you're able to glance your eye as to how the old numbers shift to the new numbers, so that it's not a a big shift. As you can actually glance your eye on it, it's a marginal shift, but it's important for us to be able to handhold you in that transition. So this is how the traditional and growth services will move from core connectivity and digital platform. The breakup, if you move to the next slide, we will actually provide for the core connectivity business between our service provider customer segment and the enterprise customer segment as to how the split is and how we are actually monitoring the growth there. Then we will of course also have the split between the four businesses within digital platform and services as well. Yeah. Just move to the next slide. Yeah. I think that brings to an end of what I had to say on finance, both on this, on the financial fitness redefined and our new reporting structure. Now over to Genius to get on to the business discussions.
Thank you, Kabir. So to start off with, over the past year, I think we have all seen how the world around us can change quickly. We can see enterprises are becoming more virtual, digital-centric, and agile, and all with an accelerated pace of digital transformation. Pandemic has definitely accelerated the shift towards cloud and internet. But this actually changes the enterprise data traffic direction and also enterprise security posture. This means that enterprise network and security architecture will need to evolve to enable a truly digital first business model. Some of the enterprise challenges that they need to deal with this shift includes that what they are going to face in the redesign of the legacy WAN architecture. Customers and enterprises may be used to MPLS with stringent and clear SLA defined. But when enterprises procure local internet connectivity from local ISPs, it's usually on best effort basis because of the distributed nature of the internet, which is a network of networks and mostly best effort. And actually, no one really owns the whole world internet. So they also will need to look at the cost of the new network setup and also its associated security and privacy risk. The network considerations that the enterprises will need to take into consideration when planning for the network transformation strategy includes how to ensure that the internet connectivity can be predictable and dependable, how to choose from a variety of internet connectivity solutions, options from dedicated internet to business broadband to consumer broadband to achieve similar user experience while optimizing the WAN spend, and how to integrate this internet connectivity into their hybrid network environment, and to support a disaggregated workforce working from anywhere with expectation of enterprise-grade experience and the requirement of software-based secure access to applications from any location and also from any device and connectivity. And of course, to further improve management across WAN, Wi-Fi, and LAN with consistent policy and also security management. They will also need to explore and also adopt an agile architecture that is scalable and flexible so that AI and ML can be actually embedded into the network management and control system so that to augment the network operations, and definitely looking into scalable solutions to meet dynamic business needs. So in summary, what our customers ask in the network space? So with earlier MPLS network setup, customers normally only have to deal with one or a handful of network suppliers. But with the shift to internet, if not managed properly, the number of suppliers can actually increase significantly, making network management extremely complex instead of simplifying it. Hence, the need for internet supply consolidations, by enterprises. Customers are also looking for solutions that provide them with the agility, flexibility, visibility, and also control, with self-serve capability and also associated, data analytics to allow them to automate and simplify service and network management. Basically, to summarize it, it's just they need to digitize their operations as much as possible. Going to the next slide. So while the market actually is saying that core connectivity services shown on the left-hand side of this slide will continue to decline, slightly declining or stay flat. But we believe that our core connectivity service will continue to grow, at an aggregate level maybe as single digit. The growth will be from internet access connectivity and also dedicated connectivity services connecting to cloud, data center, and edge locations. The future growth in connectivity services will be driven by the next generation connectivity services as shown on the right-hand side of the slide. Most of these services are enabled through the transformation of the core connectivity network. The transition to cloud and internet has definitely opened up the market for players like Tata Communications, who has a strong foothold in global internet transit ecosystem. Our Internet WAN solution has added new broadband variants both globally and in India to address different customer requirements. Besides providing the broadband solution via ISO Internet Partnership ecosystem, we have also our own on-net broadband-like internet solutions in India called Echo Internet. So we have also, extended our offering to cover managed Wi-Fi and also wireless LAN to offer also customer and integrated policy management across both WAN and LAN for customers. Our new bandwidth on demand service offers connectivity solution that allows customers to scale as easily as cloud to meet the dynamic business need. And to provide enterprise with the agility, flexibility, visibility, and control which they ask for, we have also, we are also providing them with the data analytics that can be consumed via API, so that customers can use this to enable customers to digitize their operations. Going to the next slide. Our key competition in enterprise space in India are, of course, our India-based telecom service providers, and for international, the global and regional telecom service provider. Our key strength is our comprehensive connectivity offering with global coverage that spans over 130 to 140 countries with ISO hybrid WAN solutions. Our new ISO variants and ISO broadband variant offers customer with a unified service experience and service assurance support across the globe and in India. Our ability to manage all these partners, which is providing broadband solutions on our, together with us, is one of our key distinct differentiation. Also, our new Echo Internet and ISO broadband variant in India also enable us to capture the new demand and further enhances our home market leadership. The bandwidth on demand solution, which is initially for Ethernet, also allows us to address the needed dynamic requirements, especially for data center and hub connectivity. And for service provider segment, our key competitors is more or less similar, is for India, the India-based telecom service provider, international, the global and regional service providers. Our key differentiation is, of course, our consistent market-leading SLA, and also our network coverage across the regions to give a diverse and resilient service offering. And of course, our service scalability is one of our key advantage, our ability to scale quickly, and also along with our home market leadership. Going to the next slide. So here I want to just quickly run through, a couple of, customer case studies. For this customer, this is a multinational bank. We have actually embarked our journey with this multinational bank starting in 2015. They were our MPLS customers in India. As they look to update their network architecture from point-to-point network to multi-point network, they moved to our multi-point Ethernet service back in 2016. As their requirements continue to evolve with the adoption of SaaS applications like Office 365, bandwidth demand at all the sites increased significantly, and upgrading MPLS circuits and backhauling internet traffic to break out at global data centers are not sustainable due to cost and performance reasons. They find that there's a need to shift to internet connectivity solutions. Our ISO Internet WAN solutions with assured performance SLA and deterministic routing provided the needed performance that customer is seeking for. So Tata Communications, we have won the ISO Internet WAN service with this bank, connecting the major locations, including data centers around the world. Additionally, we have also provided ISO Private Connect solution to provide connectivity to the cloud. Going to the next slide. So this is the second use case I would like to share with you. This use case is also for a leading global bank with more than 2,000 branches in 19 countries. The bank uses MPR's network architecture for core banking applications connecting between branch office in APAC and Europe to their hub data center locations. The hub data center connectivity has been on fixed bandwidth, and this is mainly point-to-point circuits. As part of the network transformation project, the bank floated an RFP for the global WAN re-architecture. One of the asked by the bank's architecture team as part of the RFP was for flexible solution for data center to data center connectivity, so that they can support short-term surges of bandwidth arising from internal business requirements and marketing and promotion activities. The solution offered by us to the bank was a mix of regional MPLS-based connections for the regional branch connectivity and also Ethernet bandwidth on demand feature to connect their hub data centers, such as Singapore and London. Our key selling point of the solution is real-time, self-managed dynamic bandwidth capability through a self-service portal on the base Ethernet circuit. And this is actually offered with Assure SLA on the base circuit and enabling customer to tightly align the resource requirement and pay for what is needed and when it is needed. The solution met their requirements of flexibility in hub data center connectivity between geographies, and we were awarded this contract. So this solution is expandable to other data center to data center connectivity links in the network across other regions in transforming their network from fixed bandwidth connectivity solution to on-demand available connectivity solutions. Going to the last slide. Our key target customer for service provider segments are telecom service provider, mobile network operators, ISPs, and cloud native, service providers. High capacity requirements, global network coverage, and on-demand solution that can respond quickly to the business needs are a key proposition. Also, with our home market leadership, serving and service providers enterprise connectivity requirements with multiple internet options to meet their enterprise customer needs. And with enterprise, our focus has always been their partner of choice for the network connectivity solutions that helps customers to cater to the shift to internet and cloud adoption. So our wide range of ISO internet connective options covering over 130 to 140 countries addresses the multinational customers' diverse and global footprint needs. We also provide a fully managed hybrid solution which integrates both ISO Internet WAN and private MPLS to create an optimal network design for the customer. And our ability to manage the ISO Internet ecosystem of partners across the globe allows us to provide a unified experience and a single point of contact for the global solution. We also provide an on-demand solution that can support real-time resource deployment that is aligned with business requirements and is within customers' own control. This allows them to meet the dynamic bandwidth demands on the fly, and they can tightly align resource requirements and pay for what is needed and when they really need it. So we will be actually also moving more and more control to the customer. And this control will be given to customer through self-service or API integration. That will allow customer to digitize their operations and transform to a truly digital-first business model. With that, I'll go to the next slide, and I'll move over to Madhu to take us over collaboration and connected solutions. Madhu, over to you.
Thank you, Janice. Thank you. I would start this collaboration and connected solutions with the key market shifts that has happened, which also has had a significant impact on our strategy and hence the execution what we have taken on. One, the enterprise's expectation that the collaboration needs to have a reduced complexity. Enterprises undergoing themselves a digital transformation. Again, this is evolved out of the needs and the preferences of beyond core connectivity. An IoT and mobility connectivity platform to improve their productivity, in-house productivity, at the same time the overall experience what they go through tracking and through analytics. And of course, COVID-19 itself has acted as a catalyst in terms of fast adoption, which is where in the next slide, I would give a little bit overview on what the offering to look at these challenges, and then how are we able to formulate our overall strategy, and hence the platforms and the associated experience, what would be. If I were to pick up from UCaaS, which is where UCaaS is our fully featured one, it is a cloud-based solution, enterprise communication platform, enabling both employee collaboration as well as a customer engagement. Of course, supported by all the telephony requirements, meetings, messages, mobility, and rest of the communication enabled features. And this also being a managed services, this is integrated with our global SIP connectivity across the globe, what we have, along with comprehensive design capability and the migration services, what we bring in as such. Then this leads me to my next CPaaS, which is where, as you would know, that we have transitioned from an A2P, which is an existing business where we have been operating, into cloud communication, which is where we would basically shortly launching this CPaaS as a cloud communication platform, which primarily encompasses one, it is a cloud-based delivery model that enables voice, video, messaging, again at an omni-channel across the various platforms, what we would see on a software layer, which is again accessed through an API-enabled, which is configurable too. Moving on to MOVE, which is mobile virtual enablement as such. This is a digital business platform which offers a one connectivity management, uses the underlying data analytics, which leads us to decision-making overlay, and also to user-connected application as such. Then finally, into the India-specific IoT solutions. This is where we work through last about a year or so in terms of building an application platform, which allows the creation of a quick interactive visualization layer with the data from multiple devices in the offering to give a meaningful business insights or the outcomes as such. So when we look at the market size, which is what you would see in the lower part of the chart, each one of these businesses, be it collaboration, CAGR at 13+%, CPaaS growing at 16+%, and MOVE at 26% in the context of a M2M and IoT scenario, and India IoT itself growing at close to 20%, which is where, when I go a little bit deep into this at a broader construct of the various platforms, what we are seeing, which is what I will see in the next slide. This is a bit of more insights into the UCaaS powering the digital enablement. And the problem, what are we solving here up to? The context here is enterprises are challenged with multi-vendor environment. So multi-vendor management is a problem. Multi-region management, especially in the context of a global presence and mobile first. Then agility becomes one of the inherent capabilities which needs to be there. Interoperability, and of course, security, privacy, and compatibility would become a key challenges which enterprises itself have been looking at this. So here we combine our core capabilities, what we have, with the platform services capabilities, what we are building or what we have built to drive the business outcomes, not the output, with an end-to-end technological stitching and upkeep with a specific SLAs in mind. If I were to give some specific examples in this, InstaCC, as you all would know, that this is a platform which we have been operating. This is to enable digital ecosystem to enterprises, transforming the customer engagement of our enterprises. The solution itself being, it is an on-demand contact center offering, and it is omni-channel, and it is cognitive experience. The key benefits what enterprises would look at, it is an improved customer experience, NPS. And then in terms of the ownership itself, it is a low-cost ownership. Moving on to Scdx, which is what you would see in the middle box. It is a secured, connected digital experience platform. This is the one which is where digitized customer journey, which is more a vertical specific platform, is being looked at. And the solution itself being actually native API, one-touch experience, video commerce, eKYC. This is the solution which has been integrated into this. The key benefits itself, one, the sales, the growth in the sales, the enterprises would look at it, and then the lower retention cost, and of course, the customer experience as such. Here again, it is a vertical specific solution which is being looked at it across retail, across BFSI, so on and so forth. And when it comes to CPaaS, this is the one which enables we call it as a humanifying the whole experience. It is H to M, human to anything, actually H to X. The conversation across all platforms, which is contextual, which is converged, and which is clever. The solution here is omni-channel, which is again a voice, SMS, video, WhatsApps, Telegrams, and you can name the messaging channels or the platforms what we have been looking. That's the holistic integration which we have been able to working on. And then it is a programmable module and the intelligence built into that platform itself as such. The key benefits here again, it would be that platform agnostic connectivity, and then one of the key aspects also has become a regulatory compliance, which if I move into if I have to give a context in terms of who are the customers or who are the competition, what we are working on, which is what in the next chart, what I would talk about, and who are our customers. It is spread across enterprise and service providers, as you heard it earlier, in specific to UCaaS and CPaaS. Enterprises, industry-specific vertical solutions in case of a move. And again, enterprise, utility companies, government agencies, or the smart cities in case of an India IoT. And again, who are the competitions? Because we do see a varied competition across these three different aspects. In case of UCaaS and CPaaS, it is telco service providers and the new age communication service providers whom we have been coming across. In terms of the move, it is IoT platform players or significant players apart from telco providers itself as such. And in case of India IoT, we do see quite a lot of niche players, of course, apart from the telco providers. So what is the right to win if I had to put in this? If I had to focus on UCaaS and CPaaS, the global network, local regulation proficiency, comprehensive solution design, and cutting across both UCaaS and CPaaS being a single provider. So that becomes one of the key strengths in terms of the collaboration space. In terms of the move space, it becomes an access neutral connectivity. That's where we are hoping to reach. And then the connectivity management platform, which brings in the whole data insight and then decision-making capability for the enterprises. In case of an India IoT, it is an end-to-end offering of IoT fabric, cutting across devices, network, platforms, application, and business insights. Where are the examples which I have to look at it, which is what in the next two charts I will talk about the case studies. This is one of the leading car manufacturer, globally renowned, and spread across UK, China, Brazil, India, and a network of about close to less than about 300,000 retailers and suppliers spread across 160 countries. I think this could have been the problem which anybody would have wanted to be there. And this is where we could showcase our Move platform. And then what are the car manufacturers' challenges which we had seen? One being a regulatory compliance, as I mentioned, which is this needs to be managed cross-border platforms. Then the driver experience, again, seamless across the spread which this whole automobile itself is running across. Then it needs to be a connected car, need for anywhere, anytime access to connected car ecosystem as such. And then finally, the addressing global markets. So these four, to an extent, were the broader problem statements which this customer gave it to us. How did we build our solution? Again, when you look at the left-hand chart, basically it talks from a basic connectivity platform, the Move platform, on which we could bring in the connectivity across the globe. Then also our ability to provide the complete lifecycle management, both on it as well as that connected ecosystem. Then our ability to integrate the quality of service, usage data, marketing, analytics, and then the business insights, business rules engine, which we could be bringing in, again, AI-based. And above that is the one, this is all API and connectivity intelligence, which we could build in with a single pane of glass and application generated data with also the connectivity data lake as such. This was the solution which we brought in. Again, what is the benefits which customer could see that? One, they could see the dynamic connectivity, which is home country, quality of service, cost of service, all of them. Then the engineering challenges or the changes, what they wanted to do, which is where we brought in SOTA, basically software over the air capability. And then the driver experience, the split billing, assisted driving, so on and so forth as such. And then hence, the biggest thing is the revenue improvement for the OEMs as such, actually, through the campaigns and rest of the other benefits. Now, quick facts, this customer today, we manage about more than 200,000 plus cars across the globe. The total data usage itself is about 37 terabytes a month, and average user data is about 1.2 GBs per month. There are more than 10% of them who are the heavy users of the data. When I say them, it is the vehicles who have been utilizing this, and infotainment being the prime use case, and we are into rolling this out into telematics as well as such, actually. I will move into the next chart, which talks about totally a different case study. This is India IoT, as I mentioned it. This is for one of the leading steel manufacturer to whom they wanted a fully managed solution, bringing in sensors, the communication aspects of it, data integration, and bring in applications together and then give them a business insights to it as such. The problem what they bring was, I call it as MMM, basically man, machine, and material. One was the employee management, which is where employee productivity enhancement, employee safety management, adhere to social distancing. In fact, it has become more and more, the requirement has become more and more stringent now, especially with the pandemic hitting in. Then in terms of the machine and facility monitoring itself, basically the digitize whole existing infrastructure, prevent the incidents and the accidents, and hence how proactively we could be able to manage it. Then finally, the material and equipment, basically reduce time to repair. We are able to monitor the equipments well in advance so that we are able to increase that much of productivity as such. The solution what we worked out was the whole IoT, we call it as a fabric, which cuts across a connected worker solution, especially looking at optimized workforce, safety, and productivity. Then the inventory management, basically the faster material reach and automated processes. The smart utilities, basically this was more towards monitor the optimum usage of the energy, water, gas in a campus. So this becomes very, very critical for them, especially when they look at their productivity enhancements and the cost management, what they would be looking at. Then the smart facilities itself. It also included environment management, the shop floor intelligence, each one of them. So when you look at this, what is the benefit and the impact what they have been able to see so far? Of course, this self-learning, and then it keeps moving on and on. In every one of the aspects, whether it is a worker productivity, whether it is an equipment utilization, whether it is a savings on the utilities, what they have been doing, or the cycle time, they could see at the minimum 10% plus increase in their whole the productivity, what they could see that. So these two examples depict the kind of one complexity, the global spread, number two, the platformization of this whole solution, what we could bring in. This leads to my next chart, which is where how do we deliver the growth, capturing the opportunity, looking at the whole the platform conversation what we had over last about 10 minutes. So when you look at this, CPaaS would be the cloud-based software solution. The message what I would want to leave it with you is that CPaaS is a cloud-based software layer accessible through APIs. Our IP being platform agnostic integration, regulatory engine, fraud prevention services, and this becomes my strong strength on which I have built that platform over and above. When it comes to Scdx, this is a vertical solution initially focused around retail, BFSI, and automobile, but so on and so forth. We would want to be moving further into it. Here, our IP being this AI-enabled outbound dialer and the messaging, and the omni-channel support and the predictive routing, which is being included in this whole platform development. Move being, again, industry vertical use case-driven solution, automotive, MVNOs or MVNX, or healthcare or smart cities, which is where here our major IP which we have been able to bring in is the one intelligent data analytics, decisioning, and the single pane of glass for monitoring, control, insights, and the software over the air. This is where we bring in the value. And then lastly, India IoT. India IoT is a use case driven, industry specific, or smart cities, or the utilities to whom we would be serving. And then here the biggest strength and the IP being application platform, which allows creation of quick visualization layer and the hardware platform to convert any device into a smarter device. Thank you. Over to Srini.
Thanks, Madhu. We can move to the next slide. So I'll talk about the market shifts that we see for the cloud hosting, security, and Sd-Wan offerings that we have in the market. As all of you would know, cloud adoption has been accelerated in the past few quarters, A, because of digital transformation, and B, because of the fact that the pandemic required many of the functionalities to be available digitally, and thereby the acceleration of digital transformation because of the pandemic has led to more and more enterprises looking at cloud. We're seeing more and more enterprises wanting to put their workloads in multiple clouds, which is a combination of public and private cloud. That's a trend that we're seeing. And you would hear terms like hybrid cloud and multi-cloud. These are interchangeably used, largely to sort of say that there can be a combination of a private cloud and a public cloud, or a couple of public clouds that they use based on what they think is more attractive, A, from an ecosystem perspective, and B, from a price or a cost on the standpoint for them. With the digital transformation and businesses being digital, being available 24/7, from an application standpoint, and being able to provide the service without any interruptions is an important priority for enterprises. So application modernization is a term that you would hear in the market, because they want to break the monolithic applications that we had in the past into newer applications that are modular and highly available and portable between clouds, because that gives them the flexibility. And that's something that customers prefer to do, because they want their businesses to be available online 24/7. With the complexity of multi-cloud and the application modernization requirements and the pressure of having to have the application running 24/7 and the businesses being open, more and more CIOs are looking for support and to engage infrastructure and professional services companies to support them in the cloud and digital transformation journey. Along with the digital transformation journey comes with the need for security and network modernization. So the trends that we see are that more and more companies are worried about ransomware attacks and data breaches. You would have read recently about data breaches with a large airline and a pizza company. These are cases of where customer data is lost because of not so very secure infrastructure or because of some weakness in the infrastructure. That's a priority. Enterprises don't want to hit the headlines for the wrong reasons. And work from home means many of us are using laptops to connect to corporate networks. And that means that companies need to worry about security and securing the endpoint devices, be it laptops or mobile phones. Along with all of this comes the need for intelligent WAN, a software-defined WAN that combines the capability of network, policy management, and being able to manage security in an agile fashion. And SD-WAN is something that more and more companies are looking to adopt because of the capability that it provides, both in terms of network and security. We move to the next slide. So the three platforms that we take to market, there are unique characteristics. Cloud and managed hosting, we address the requirements of customers to be on multiple clouds and have their infrastructure managed and being available continuously. And also being able to support them in their infrastructure requirements when they want to do application modernization. And typically, when customers look at data center migration, they also look at a cloud and managed hosting service. When there is a requirement for compliance, customers prefer to do managed hosting because that estate is not on the cloud and it's dedicated to a particular customer or a private cloud. But when customers want agility, flexibility, and the ability to move between clouds, they prefer a multi-cloud. From a managed security services standpoint, customers are looking for 24/7 SOC services, which for which finding people with the right skills is a challenge for many enterprises because they're small in size and cannot attract the right talent for running a security operations center. Typically, they look to outsource a security operations center and manage the complexities of security management 24/7. And they also want the latest, technologies. The security landscape is complex, and thereby a security operations center enables them to deploy newer technologies that protect them better and also monitor and manage it, 24/7. The SD-WAN platform allows them to be more agile, be on the internet, and makes the cost of operating a network a lot more affordable for enterprises. And with the SD-WAN deployed, they're also looking for 24/7 management of these services. What's our skill in these three areas, and why we deserve to win? Now, we are a full service managed services provider across all three of them. We do have two SOCs operating in India for managed security services, which are manned 24/7 with the right skilled people. We have ability to manage comprehensively infrastructure around cloud, security, and network, and thereby monitor them, manage them 24/7. We've also invested in specific clouds for specific communities, like a government community cloud addressing government departments and public sector undertakings. We're also working on a financial cloud, which will address the need of banking and financial services entity in India. And we also have the ability to manage a combination of network, plus cloud, plus security for our customers. If you move to the next slide, please. Cloud and hosting, the opportunity continues to grow. The space is driven by public and private cloud, requirements from customers. Most of the customers want to move to the cloud and they want to take a multi-cloud journey because they want to make sure that they are on at least a couple of platforms, either the private cloud and the public cloud or on two public clouds. Depending on what the requirements of the business are, they tend to be on two different clouds, and that increases complexity, and thereby they need companies to manage the complexity for them, even though it's simple to go subscribe a cloud service. As you get into mission critical applications, the complexity increases. 50% of the companies, which buy cloud services look for managed services as they want this complexity to be outsourced and managed by a professional services provider. When do customers talk to us about buying, cloud and hosting services from us? Typically, the need is driven when customers are looking at transformation of their application or modernization of their application, or they're looking at an upgrade of a software, an upgrade of a key system like an ERP system. They tend to look, for upgrading their infrastructure as well, thereby, bringing in the agility that they need, for the business. Or in many cases, they don't want to manage the complexity of a data center, in-house, and thereby they look to move to either a hosted environment or to a cloud. In cases where enterprises need to be compliant to local regulations, or they have regulated workloads, which means they have to be audited against a particular policy, or when there is a need for data localization, which gets insisted upon for banking entities, or there is a specific need for privacy, customers do look for a private cloud option that's secure and that's able to address their needs. In terms of service portfolio, we do have our own ISO private cloud platform from Tata Communications, which offers multiple services to our customers. And we also have the ability to work with public cloud providers, be it AWS, Azure, or GCP, and being able to provide a combination of these infrastructure services to give our enterprise customers the best of the capabilities that this platform offers. We are present across the globe, 17 data centers, and we offer managed services. Though our focus market is India, we do address Indian, entities, who want to be, global. We have the ability to address that as well. So if you move to the next slide, please. So this is an example of the transformation that we've done for a large mining company. This is a requirement that was a part of their project to modernize their, enterprise, resource planning system, ERP. This is one of the largest SAP HANA deployments. It had to be done in a very short time frame because their project itself was a 100-day project. And they came to us to set up the entire infrastructure for modernization of their ERP because they had inherent delays in their processes, their business processes, were not living up to their customer expectations. Their hospital management systems were not integrated across their various entities. So they needed a service provider who can give them the SAP HANA infrastructure and also manage, monitor, and implement that system for them. The benefits that they took away from this was, of course, an improved performance for their ERP systems, a centralized and an integrated employee health management system, and they had security rolled in because as an infrastructure provider, we were able to give them not just the SAP HANA infrastructure, but also the security around them, around the infrastructure. And the more important, point, to note is that, most of these ERP implementations become the heart of an enterprise and their operating processes. So we were able to help them with the disaster recovery planning, just in case they were to lose one location. We were able to sort of simulate, demo it for them, test it for them. And that gives them confidence that they are able to sort of operate from a different infrastructure if there is a disaster, scenario. And that's something that we do for many of our customers. And we, along with this, we also gave them our network services, and that gives them an integrated provider who's able to sort of not just provide cloud infrastructure, not just provide security, but also provide network, and be able to present that in a uniform way on a console that allows them to see all of the performance parameters, all of the characteristics of the three services that they're buying from us, and how they're working together to deliver, their objectives. So if you move to the next slide, please. I'll talk about the managed security services business. As I, said earlier, the opportunity in the managed security services space is ever evolving. There are newer and newer cases of customers, being breached. Security needs, to be strengthened in many of these cases. Or there are newer, techniques and tactics that, the operators are using to sort of breach into enterprise infrastructure. So this is largely driven by risk and the value of the data that enterprises generate. We are working to ensure that we are able to help our customers be secure, by design in all of their transformation exercises. We're also working with customers to make sure that they're able to address the regulatory and compliance need when we offer them our managed security services. Our focus is India plus many of the international markets, and we offer to our customers four broad category of services. One is a secure network transformation offering, where we help our customers with transforming the traditional networks into a more software-defined network, be able to build in security or integrate security into their design. That's one part of the portfolio offering. The second part of the portfolio offering is security for the cloud. As more and more customers move to the cloud, there is a need to secure the cloud implementation itself. And the early stage cloud adoption was hampered by the lack of security or the perception of lack of security. That's something that we address using the security for the cloud portfolio. And the third part of the offering is offering them a cloud SOC, a security operations center, which allows for customers to leave us with the task of managing the security and monitoring the security posture 24/7, thereby taking the complexity of running it for them, running it 24/7 for themselves. And we also continue to improve on the capabilities there, thereby allowing them to sort of get the benefits of threat hunting, improved detection and response, and capabilities that constantly evolve as they build their digital businesses. Risk and compliance is an important part of any security conversation. So we work with our customers to engage in technical risk and compliance conversations, helping them understand their soft areas and working to sort of address them, and also work with our customers to ensure that their security is foolproof, where we have red teaming exercises to ensure that their security is well and truly the way they want it to be. So if you move to the next slide, this is an example of a large retailer who's been with us from 2015, and security is a journey where customers start with smaller digital footprint and security around that, and as they continue to expand the digital infrastructure, they continue to need to sort of grow the digital infrastructure and the security around it, and also bring in newer technologies. And that's precisely what has happened with this customer. For the past 5-6 years, we've been working with them. They started off more like a network security customer, wanting perimeter security and the network components to be protected. Subsequently, they've become a cloud SOC customer, a security operations customer, where we manage the security incidents and events on a constant basis. And whenever there is a need for them to put in a newer solution, we work with them to sort of integrate that. And when they had to work through a remote working model, we work with them to ensure that they are enabled for secure internet or outbound access. So the benefits that the customer has is that they have a player who understands their infrastructure, who's been with them for a long time, and being able to understand the business, understand their infrastructure, and understand the security needs. We've been able to help them transform their security setup, grow their digital footprint, improve their threat detection capabilities, have faster response time to respond to an incident, and we also work with them for remediating incidents. So if you move to the next slide, please. On the Sd-Wan offering, this is a global offering. We have over 60% of the customers who buy Sd-Wan choosing managed services, which means they just not choose an Sd-Wan capability. They also choose to buy a managed services capability along with it. In terms of our offering, there are variants that we take to market on the Sd-Wan offering. One is because we are a global network service provider and we have strengths globally on our network. We have a tightly integrated offering with the network. That's a network integrated Sd-Wan, where we provide them the CPE, the customer premise equipment, and the Sd-Wan capability along with it in the box, and integrated tightly with the network. Thereby, we are able to manage it a lot more effectively for them. In cases where they choose not to switch a service provider because they have spent that time and effort to build a network with the service provider, we can offer them the Sd-Wan capability, which means we install, do the policy management, do the maintenance of that infrastructure, and provide managed services around that. That's another offering that we take to market. App-oriented Sd-Wan is where we help our customers who have smaller offices, and have the need for these offices to connect to their enterprise infrastructure securely. We give them an application-oriented setup, which is far less complex and very simple to implement. And in many cases, what we see is a combination of these services that customers buy depending on what the requirements are. And some of the smaller customers prefer to work with overlay Sd-Wan or an app-oriented Sd-Wan. We do have option of being able to support all of this from the cloud, or do dedicated on-prem deployments. We also give customers the option, if they have large teams that can manage this infrastructure alongside us, then we have co-managed infrastructure, or we can provide a fully managed service where we take the entire SD-WAN complexity out of the enterprise equation. So if you move to the next slide, this is an example of a company which is a leading baking products company, a global leader in that space. They had a rigid network which had fixed bandwidth between locations. Their bandwidth demands were growing. Their aim was to build a network that's flexible, that allows them to do things the way they want and simplify the complexities around a fixed network. So we offered them a managed SD-WAN solution, and with the benefit of bringing their own network, which means whichever is a service provider who's providing the service to them came along the SD-WAN solution that we offered, and this entire solution was put together for them. That helped them sort of reduce the capex, the capital expenditure associated with the network by about 40%, and there was a 30% increase in bandwidth, and network uptime went to about 99.99%, and overall increased response time. So the customer saw a very good improvement all around in terms of all the financial and performance parameters around this network, and that's the capability an SD-WAN service can bring to an enterprise which wants to transform and look at SD-WAN. So if you move to the next slide. So in terms of our go-to-market approach for these three products, as I said earlier, the market is nascent in all of these cases, and it's changing, evolving constantly. Newer capabilities are getting added into these portfolios. We continue to, as Lakshmi highlighted, in the 330 or in introducing newer capabilities into the market. We continue to add newer capabilities, and thereby we have multiple such newer offerings coming into each one of these portfolios. We are pushing on the theme of secure by design on managed security. On the cloud and managed hosting area, we like pushing for cloud plus security plus network. On SD-WAN, we're pushing the SD-WAN plus security narrative in the market. And we're also investing in our own IP and innovation in all of these three areas. We do have a single dashboard for all of these services. The ability to show network plus cloud plus security infrastructure in one place, and being able to do analytics of all data that we process for our customers and provide them meaningful information, and helping customers in automation of their cloud and network or security journey is our capabilities that we are investing into and building for our customers. With that, I'll hand it over to Sumit for the sales and marketing session.
Thanks, Srini. Good evening, and happy to be talking to you this evening. You would have heard from Srini, Madhu, Genius, the various use cases that our portfolio is helping our customers solve some of their problems, some of their challenges, and helping them, if you will, in their digital journeys as well. That, to my mind, is also a good reflection of the kind of conversations that we are having in the market with the set of customers that we engage. So I thought I'll start by giving you a sense of between our two markets, between India and international, some of the shifts that we're seeing. Some of it are commented upon earlier, but I'll put a customer slant to it as well. So one, Srini spoke about the adoption to the cloud. To me, I think in our conversations, especially with our customers in India, it is now putting everything on the cloud. So, especially in verticals like manufacturing, insurance, retail, we are seeing a much higher propensity to put all of their applications on their cloud. And whether this cloud, as Srini pointed out earlier, whether it is a multi-cloud environment or a hybrid cloud, whatever you want to call it. So they are moving different workloads onto different clouds based on, the customer's design and architecture of how they want to see their applications. What that actually does, and the drivers to that earlier, as was also discussed, was either infra modernization. They want to create a a broader architecture which will allow remote connectivity to the applications, given the whole remote working environment that we are also facing today, right? So all of that is adding into putting everything on the cloud. The incremental challenge that the customers then face because of that is, because now the data is residing on cloud and residing on multi-clouds, if you will, you need, and data analytics is becoming important for the customers. It is becoming important to understand where the data sits and then how you're going to, manage that data. So the underlying infrastructure in terms of the network you have and then the Sd-Wan layer, which allows for this data visibility, is becoming a stronger conversation right from the network transformation leading to, the cloud migration. So it's becoming one strong integrated conversation. We are seeing a lot of this play out across many of our segments in the enterprise, but specifically on some of the segments that I spoke about earlier. Linked to that is the whole security posture. And I think because applications are moving to the cloud and the WAN architecture for the customer is becoming from a closed architecture, is becoming an internet first architecture because applications need to be accessed on the cloud. The security and the cybersecurity, challenge that the customers then face has to be looked at across multiple levels. So it is the network security, the cloud security, and then the overall security that the customers look at. So I think the shift to looking at a spend and an increased spend on security, and we are seeing that getting reflected in some of our market conversations. We are seeing that getting reflected in our funnel that we are building on our security portfolio, is reflective of this shift and this increased propensity to look at security across the entire digital infrastructure that the customer is starting to deploy. On the automotive space, more specifically in India, the shifts that we are seeing, one, driven by regulatory, which is around the AIS 140, which is the passenger safety regulation that is coming, along with the EV push and shared mobility. We believe will give us a very strong incremental push in the ensuing year and the years ahead as well. That opens up a very strong new market for us. There are nearly 500,000 new vehicles that are rolled out every year, and all of these vehicles will have the IAS 140 application that needs to be residing inside the vehicle, along with this shift to electric. We have already seen some operators like Ola talk about what they have as their ambition for electric. So this is a whole new market opening up, and we believe that we will be a strong participant in that opportunity as well. Then on the retail and consumer, especially at the back of COVID, we saw many customers relook at how they want to deliver digital experience to their customers. We participated in many of these conversations where customers are now looking at a more omni-channel digital experience to be given to their customers. And for us, the benefit, as Madhu was calling out earlier, is that we are able to bring an integrated, assisted experience across the entire buying journey, if you will. And that is becoming a very strong use case for us. And we are seeing very high interest in retail, both in high-end retail, that is around automotive, around consumer electronics, etc., where the intent is to ensure that the product is being bought out through video commerce to the customer in a much more digital format than ever before. On international, I think the opportunity for us, and this is playing out as we speak, is the opportunity around vendor consolidation. Given the fact that most organizations are now moving from an MPLS architecture to an internet-first architecture, that opportunity will then give us a significant headroom where we are not the incumbent with many of these large global corporations, where they are looking to consolidate and relook at an internet-first architecture. That is something that we see play out very heavily for us in our markets in Europe, but this is the trend that we see in many of our international markets as well. Linked to that is really the approach and the shift that we are seeing for tailored professional services. This is coming at the back of most organizations are looking at a situation where they want migration services, transition services, and then possibly lifecycle management services also getting managed through us. And that opportunity is an area that we see it as very adjacent to our core offering. And that's an opportunity we are grabbing with both our hands. And that shift is something that we are working with many of our customers. In our media business, which is really a global business, which includes India, we are really seeing a very strong shift to live 4K sports. and the 4K sports distribution moving from HD to UHD for an operator like us will lead into a significant consumption of our video connect services, increase in our bandwidth opportunities to work with these broadcasters across the world. Globally, we deliver close to about 9,000 events annually, and many of these events are delivered on 4K, especially the large format events. And that opportunity is only growing on a year-on-year basis as digital and digital experience of gaming is becoming more and more pronounced. Remote production is another opportunity for us, where the delivery model for the entire production and post-production is happening remotely and then consumed by all the broadcasters globally as well. And that's another area that we are participating in and seeing traction with all our customers and partners that we engage with. And finally, on the global OEMs, like in India, where we are seeing the shift to the AIS 140, in our global automotive space, we are seeing a very good opportunity on the connected vehicles. And in many of these large global OEMs, these OEMs have already been on that journey for some time now. So their scale is only increasing. Along with scale is the complexity that they're having to face. They realize that, this is a non-core area for them. And they're then looking at partners like us who can bring our Move platform and our services to really take away that operational complexity and deliver the service back to them. If you go on to the next slide. So with that background and from the use cases you heard and some of the shifts that we are seeing and the kind of conversations that we are having with our customers, this is our organization of how we engage our customer. We have two motions in which we engage our customers, both with the sell to and a sell with motion. The sell to motion is the motion where we have deep account management and solution architects who engage our customers intimately. It is really about, engaging our customers and co-creating solutions alongside our customers. We have boots on the ground in our India market and in the markets which are there, which are listed in our international markets. We've also been, over the years, curating our industry verticals and tech verticals. Media is something that we spoke about earlier. We are also realizing that our conversations with our global OEMs in the automotive space is becoming very unique. It is not necessarily adjacent to the data conversation, and therefore we have taken it out and we have focused on it as a standalone industry vertical, and that's where we are seeing great amount of traction and action, like I spoke about earlier. All of the other use cases that we have as a part of our Move portfolio, which include our capability on our airlines, our mobile network virtual operator capabilities, industrial electronics, or our industrial IoT, microelectronics, all of those other use cases are also unique propositions that we are taking to our customers, and we wanted to have a dedicated focus in that vertical as well, and that's another vertical that we've created. And likewise for our cloud communication or our unified collaboration portfolio, this is a portfolio that we wanted to have dedicated attention, because the use cases that Madhu spoke about are unique to many industries, and the attention that we want across these use cases is to create these global towers which will allow us to engage our customers in a much more meaningful fashion across the portfolios that we have curated over what you saw. The global alliances is really our sell with opportunity, and this is where we partner with large global Indian SIs, TCS, and the other global SIs, including global OEMs like like Cisco and Microsoft, where we take our products alongside with their products and go to market across the segments that I spoke about. Our global segments are service providers and OTTs, where we are on the service provider space. We are a provider of services to the service provider. So we are a carrier's carrier, if you will. And with the OTTs, these are the large global OTTs. They're less than a dozen, if you will. And that's where we are seeing a lot of attention. And that's where we have, dedicated our attention into those OTTs to capture the growing opportunity, including not what's coming through prior to COVID, but also during and post-COVID as well. If you go on to the next slide. This is a quick view of, how's it playing under the hood. I wanted to give you a sense of, what's our execution motion. Lakshmi spoke about earlier about our top 1,000 customers, which is really broken down into our top 300 and our next 700. And really these customers, our philosophy on customer choices is really deep segmentation first, and then going deeper with fewer as the principle of approach in our market engagement. So what we are really trying to do over the course of this execution program is to ensure that we have choice of customers well identified, and then the execution rigor of engagement with these customers, and that execution rigor spreads across not just, intimacy building with the customer, but also early engagement and co-creation proactively to build conversations with our customers. It also then translates itself to, having created and nurtured a conversation with the customer, how are we executing around that opportunity? So it also includes getting all of the internal resources all aligned. Kabir spoke about the reorganization of the BUs and then the sales teams. The combination of the two is becoming a very powerful execution engine for us to engage with our customers. We are seeing heightened acceleration. We are seeing heightened velocity in our engagement with our customers as well. What are we trying to achieve through the exercise is really improve our funnel addition. Every year, we try to ensure that our funnel addition on a year-on-year basis is 3x of our goals that we are chasing. We are on queue and exceeding that queue for this fiscal as well. Improvement in our win rates, through rigorous execution, we feel very confident that our win rates will only move north from where they are today, and therefore customer acquisition. So in the top 1,000, there are customers where we have a larger share of wallet, a lighter share of wallet, and then there are customers where we have zero share of wallet. So customer acquisition is another very strong focus for us as we drive through our focus on the overall execution plan, if you will. If you go on to the next slide. We spoke about NPS, and this is where rubber hits the road, if you will, right? And NPS is a great measure of how are we doing with the customer. And it's really a question that is asked to the customer: would you recommend Tata Communications as a partner of choice to somebody else? And as you can see to the right, our NPS scores have only been increasing on a year-on-year. Now, why is NPS important to us? NPS is important to us not only to measure our engagement with our customer and see how are we doing with our customers, but it also, to me, is a lead indicator of how fertile is my share of mind with that customer, and therefore my ability to improve my wallet with my customer as well. And we do this by a very strong, rigorous program that we follow. We have multiple listening posts that we have created in the organization across the life cycle of our customer journey. And each of those instances of those listening posts are actually giving us insight on how is either it's a transactional feedback or it's a more structured feedback. Irrespective of how the feedback is coming, all of that feedback is aggregated and then executed against inputs that we receive from our customers. What we've also done over the course of the last 12, 18 months is created a very strong wheel of engagement around our customer. And we've created a new model of engagement with the CST, or the CST is the Customer Success Team. And inside the Customer Success Team, there are 4 roles which are actually engaging and delivering to our customer. It's the account management structure, it's the solution engineering structure, it's the Customer Success Manager who manages the life cycle of the customer, and it's the program management structure. So there are 4 key roles who are delivering into the customer, and the result of that, heightened engagement is reflected in the NPS outcomes. All of the inputs that we get from our customers are very thoughtfully broken down into areas that we need to rectify. And then we go back to our customers to let them know the actions that we have taken across the feedback that we've received. Especially so for customers who have given us, weaker scores, we have a very strong detractor management program where we have customers who are very strong advocates. We have an advocacy program and there are account improvement plans. So the point I'm trying to make is our journey to NPS is not an accident. As you can see, it's growing every year. It's driven through a very focused program. And the intent of the outcome that we're seeing on these higher scores is going to result in higher wallet shares as we move ahead with our choice of top 1,000 customers. If you go on to the next slide, please. And finally, we spoke about widening and broadening our India market reach. Lakshmi spoke about, our focus on the top 1,000 customers. And then we had a tail of customers where we had not been really focused on over the course of the years, which is the top 5,000 customers. But in the top 1,000 is where we had attention. The intent now is, given the intensity of what we are seeing in the India market and the intent of what these large enterprises or these enterprises can grow into, we are now intensifying our approach and broadening our India market capability and reach. This segment of customers contribute to nearly 20% of the overall enterprise market. So by no means it's a small market. And therefore, we are very focused on driving our intention and our focus into this segment. So our intent is to focus on these top 5,000 customers. And the way we are going to do it is going to be in a physical and digital model. So in a bit of a phygital model is where we are going to engage these customers. So there is already a digital desk that we have, which is going to engage with our customers. We're going to have teams located across different parts of the geography in India to engage our customers with the intent of dual focus, growing our wallet with these customers, as well as improving our revenue base that we currently have with these customers as well. So this is the model in which we intend to roll out. What are we going to do it with? The intent is to try and create low touch but fast moving portfolio of services that we can engage the customers. So really this is a scale game, this is a volume game, and a light touch game that we are trying to engage with these customers across the 5,000 universe of customers that we work with. It's really taking the power of our portfolio and working into various components and creating, bundles of offering that can be consumed as a whole by these customers. So that's the focus for this segment. The intent is to deliver it as an end-to-end automated model, right down from ordering through till delivery. The intent is to have light touch or a completely automated model, which will allow us to have volume and scale rapidly build up at the back of this. Now, this is a segment that we are banking on our strength and our brand in India. We're leveraging our current strength and our capability of what we've already built with our customers in India and the network reach that we already have. So in some sense, this is really sweating our network to improve our network capability, as well as we are trying to ensure that the combination of what we have in terms of our quality, our price, and ease of purchase is going to give us the secret success for this segment. So with that, I thank you for your time and hand back to you, Vipul.
Thank you, Sumit. Thank you, everyone, for giving the presentation today. We'll now get into our Q&A session. Participants will have the opportunity to ask questions. Anyone who wants to ask a question, please click on the hand icon right next to your name, and we will unmute and start the question answers. The first question is from the line of Sanjesh Jain of ICICI Securities. Sanjesh, you may please ask your question now.
Thanks. Good afternoon, everybody, and really thanks for sharing this insightful presentation. We get to know you better now. Few questions. First, on the internet WAN, we have been emphasizing enough to tell that internet WAN will open up a much larger opportunity for us. Couple of questions around that. One is how many contracts which are coming out has a higher portion of today internet WAN versus MPLS WAN, and what was the same percentage, say, 2 years back or 5 years back, to understand how the contribution of internet WAN as a proportion of total network spend for the enterprise is going up, and where do you see this being, say, 5 years down the line, and what is the role of Tata Communication, and what is the total addressable market this open up for the Tata Communication? That. Second, we have been emphasizing on the fact that Tata Communication has a reach via internet connectivity in 130 to 140 countries. Can you just help us understand what is the reach of our nearest service providers whom we compete today in the global market, and what gives us confidence that in a multi-continent contract, we have a high probability today than we had earlier in terms of winning the contract? So this is on the internet. I have a few more questions, but I will catch up on this post discussion. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sanjesh. I'll attempt to answer, and then I will hand it over to Jenius to add a few more specifics. To specific questions on what proportion of the requests coming from has internet and how does it compare? I would say if you look at international market, invariably all network transformations have a higher degree of internet, I would say. Unless they are carving out an RFP, like Jenius showed in one of the examples of the core hub connectivity of connecting data centers and their hub locations, in which case it might have a lesser proportion, but they might have internet as a backup option. But otherwise, most of the contracts have internet as an option, or a higher percentage of internet in the overall solution. In India, it is more our Econet and the ISO internet variants that Jenny has talked about is not so much to replace the existing MPLS. It only increases and improves our reach into certain tier 3, tier 4 towns, or being able to address smaller branches and others, which we were not able to properly address in the past. So I think in India, it's a net incremental add versus a replacement of MPLS. In international, I think it's more of a replacement, and every other opportunity comes with that. So maybe Janesh can add a bit more color to this, as well as to the question on the reach to 230 countries and how does it compare to the competition. Janesh?
Okay, thank you, Lakshmi. One of the key thing about the ISO Internet WAN is with the broadband variant is actually for international. It actually helps us to open up certain segments that we weren't able to address before, because for example in the retail segment it requires much more in capillarity in each of the countries, but with our ISO Internet WAN broadband partnership, it actually allows us to actually go deeper into each of the countries to serve those segments. So it is to us, this is an additional new add to the addressable segment that we can now go after. Similar to India, because as Lakshmi mentioned that in India, our Echo Internet plus also our ISO Internet in India, that will actually give us the ability to actually cover not just on tier 1 and tier 2 towns, but also going beyond tier 3, tier 4, and actually with much deeper capillarities. So both in terms of international and also India, it actually allows us to actually address a much larger market. For example, earlier, we were actually addressing international global opportunities for 300 to 500, 600 locations. Now we have the ability to actually go after deals that requires more than thousands of locations. So that is the kind of market we're going after. As for basically the coverage comparison, okay, not like for example for earlier for MPLS, not all global providers is going to be having as much coverage in their own home country, right? So each one of them will build certain locations, cover certain, geographies in certain countries. That is normally for MPLS and the others. But for us is that but one thing clear is that no global service provider actually have broadband in every country. So what basically our partnership on ISO broadband, it actually helps us to bring broadband solutions where we can integrate all the broadband solutions in different countries to provide a seamless offering to the customer. So for broadband, I think our coverage currently, we are actually building this. On the overall ISO variants, we have 130 to 140 countries. For basically broadband, we're at now about 40 countries, but that actually also gives us an advantage because not many people can actually integrate all the broadband solutions together. All right. So for MPLS, I think we will be, if you said compared to competition, we'll be almost, we are almost at par, with some of the global players. But for internet connectivity through the partner ecosystem, with the seamless one single point of contact, then I think we may be actually a little bit more, a little bit better, or basically on par with the global tier ones, right?
Thank you. Thanks for that elaborate answer. Just one understanding from the reach perspective, we are either slightly better than the competition or equal to the competition. Then what makes us believe that we will have a higher market share incrementally in these network transformation, and what makes us believe that we can get the deals out of the incumbent? So what gives us the confidence for that?
Yes. So, Sanjesh, I think when people are looking for a network transformation, it will be a combination. So reach is only one of the aspects, right? So they're going to be able to, they're going to look at how do you deliver a fully managed service across these portfolios? How do you then design and implement an Sd-Wan? How do you design and implement a security overlay over that? All of that combined and ability to do all of that well is one. Secondly, and we've been talking about, our networks are largely engineered for enterprises, and some of the cloud gateways that we have talked about will, has shown to our customers that it brings them a lot more flexibility, right? So when they're connecting to a cloud, our cloud gateways are enabling the customers to connect to cloud. If they have to connect to a cloud in Frankfurt and tomorrow through an acquisition or they host a cloud in the US, our network architecture through these cloud gateways are able to address that. So, there will be a combination of factors that will play into such complex transformation and not only the reach aspect alone.
Thank you. That's fair.
Compared to, and compared to the reach that we had before, we are